Firstly, in the studio, we're joined with Debbie and Martyn. They're going to tell us all about the Environment Agency. First, we're going to be speaking to Debbie. So, good evening and welcome along to the show.
Good evening, Daniel.
Firstly, could you give us an introduction? Tell us a little bit about your role at the Environment Agency.
Yeah, I am a lead team member working in a field team. Our role is to reduce the flood risk in fluvial areas and coastal flooding. I work with a team of 14 overall, and we are based locally at Cambrai, which is near Bobbin, and we cover an area from Rochester Bridge to Reculver Towers and the Isle of Sheppey. I manage and supervise the team. I inspect assets and prepare work schedules. Often, our work is very dangerous and we're working in and near water, especially in tidal areas. During the work, we are very conscious of our environment and local habitats. We manage many species and habitat issues and work closely with Natural England.
Debbie, how much do you deal with flooding?
We experienced a lot of rainfall this winter, especially during February. We were concerned about our rivers. Many had reached maximum flow rates and were running at full capacity. The underground water table was at its highest and our systems were all running bank full. The result in our incident control room was being fully manned and fully operational. That consisted of 12 staff members working in rotation 24/7. There were times when our emergency rooms were fully stressed. When this happens, we work very closely with councils, emergency services, to provide the communities with the best protection from flooding that is possible. Our flood incident response teams are trained to respond to every flood incident scenario, and we can deploy all over Kent and East Sussex. We do have the capacity to cover all over for up to 100 staff members to cope with prolonged events, and if necessary, the Thames and Anglian regions will come to assist.
We're now joined with Martyn. So, firstly, welcome back to the show and good evening.
Good evening, Daniel.
Now, we were talking a little bit to Debbie about her role. I was wondering if you could tell us about your role in the Environment Agency.
Yes, I'm a specialist team member of part of the management team based at Cambrai, like Debbie. And I manage in conjunction with my team leader, and we supervise the team. We carry out inspections of all their assets, prepare work schedules, complete specialist risk assessments, and order materials and health and safety.
Now, I understand the Environment Agency staff undergo incident training.
Yes, that's correct, Daniel. Our staff undergo many incident training exercises which help us to work more efficiently in both our own and other areas in Kent and other regions. This training became critical when the Swale team had to join the Aylesford team to deal with their flood alert recently. And the training we normally do as a ongoing for monthly training is set up 6-inch pumps, close Queenborough barrier at least once every month. And we run our pumping station pumps to check that they're running okay and everything's hunky-dory. And I just visit a lot of sites that's acceptable for flooding.
Debbie, I understand you had to deal with flood alerts.
Yes, there were over 80 flood warnings issued by the Environment Agency between November and January of this year. As Martyn's already mentioned, in February, our team joined the Medway team and attended a flood alert at Aylesford. We provided sandbags and pumps. The local community helped to build sandbag walls, and the pumps were put in places in case the river topped its banks and became tide-locked. The operation from start to finish was a great success, and the river levels eventually dropped where no harm was done.
Debbie, can you tell us more about the spring tides? I understand they did some damage as well.
Yeah, this year we experienced some very high spring tides which caused considerable damage to the condition of some of our sea walls and the outfall culverts. A few of the culverts on the coast collapsed due to increased backup of water, and there were large stretches of sea wall that suffered serious erosion. Large tides have such a destructive force that they can change the face of beaches and coastlines. Some walls became scoured away, leaving weakened defence systems, and the beach shingle can either be piled high in some areas or washed completely away in others. We had several teams at our depot working on the repairs. Queenborough Seawall, Shellness Seawall, Riddham Docks suffered considerable damage, and they have now all been repaired. Cheney Rock is part of the shoreline management plan and is under a monitoring programme due to the shingle displacement. Block repairs there may be a consideration to prevent further loss. It will depend on the outcome of the monitoring report.
Now, Martyn, I understand there's a maintenance work being carried out in our area.
Yes, so each year we and cut the water courses. We can't actually start this until no earlier than 19th of July because of our conservation biodiversity issues.
Okay.
That's like nesting birds and water voles, etc. We cut and remove the vegetation from the water course to encourage free flow of water for high water levels. We cut on the basis of 80% cut and removed, and 20% of the vegetation is always left in the channel to encourage wildlife habitat. All urban areas are cut. At Scrapsgate Drain, Walton Bay Drain, Harwade Stream, and then in the Whitstable Herne Bay area we've got Swalcliffe Brook, Westbrook, the Gold Stream, the Plenty Brook and Kite Farm Ditch. And we also carry on with our seawall mowing, which is for inspections purposes of the integrity of the wall, for any slippages, cracks or earth movement.
Martyn, pretty rough winter. Of course, all that snow we had. How did that affect you at the Environment Agency?
Yes, the weather conditions sometimes affect the way we need to prepare and carry out our work on the seawalls and watercourses. Under the severe winter with the snow and ice we had this year, we had teams of people assisting using our 4x4 off-road vehicles, the local NHS in transporting their personnel, like nurses and carers, to the areas they could not reach in the community.
Debbie, I understand there are problems with the low water levels in the watercourse.
Yes, it's amazing how our work changes from one season to another. We had a very wet winter to worry about, and now we've got a dry summer. The water levels in the upland spring-fed watercourses rise and fall very quickly, and due to a lack of rainfall this summer, the watercourses are very low and in some areas almost dry. Low water levels cause several problems for us. Fish become distressed. The Environment Agency's Biodiversity and Fisheries team are working very hard to protect fish in water-stressed areas. Water becomes stagnant and very smelly, and often local residents report sewage leaks when actually it's simply a build-up of bacteria in stagnant water. Another problem we have is toxic blue-green algae blooms, which grows quite rapidly. We try to advise people to keep their dogs out of watercourses when this algae is present. It is known to cause some harm to the dogs. And another thing that happen as well is the death of the flora and fauna, which causes problems with insects, small mammals and many other wildlife in general.
Debbie, what useful contact details do you have for our listeners?
Yeah, if you have any concerns about a watercourse near you or the conditions of the sea walls, then please call us at the Cambrai depot. The depot number is 01795 844 035. And if you have any flood concerns, you may wish to call our incident hotline number on 0800 80 70 60, or there's always our website, which is full of information including watercourse levels and flood warnings, and that is www.environment-agency.gov.uk.
Debbie and Martyn, I'd like to thank you very much once again for coming along here at the Monday Night Community Show.
Thank you, Daniel.
That's Debbie and Martyn from the Environment Agency here at the Monday Night Community Show.